Attraction is not about games, manipulation, or trying to prove your worth to anyone. It's about becoming a man whose presence speaks louder than words, a man who doesn't chase validation, but instead commands respect through his energy, his values, and his character. Too many men think they need tricks or tactics to get a woman's attention, but the truth is, real attraction is built on authenticity and integrity. When you understand this, you'll never feel the need to impress a woman. She will feel drawn to you naturally because of the man you are becoming. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most powerful traits a man can carry, and it is the foundation of ethical attraction because it speaks to a level of security and strength that is deeply magnetic. Confidence is not loud. It is not about being the center of attention, and it is not about proving your worth to others. Real confidence is quiet and unshakable. It is the energy of a man who knows who he is and does not need to announce it. This kind of confidence is deeply rooted in self-respect and self-awareness, and it creates a presence that naturally commands attention without demanding it. Women are drawn to a man who can walk into a room and feel comfortable in his own skin, a man who does not compete for validation, but radiates a calm assurance that makes others respect him instantly. Arrogance, on the other hand, is rooted in insecurity, and it reveals itself through the need to dominate or impress, whereas confidence comes from a place of wholeness and emotional maturity, making it the very thing that separates truly masculine men from boys who simply crave approval. True confidence is built from the inside out, and that is why it cannot be faked. It is the result of a man taking full ownership of his life, holding himself to high standards, and proving to himself through his actions that he is capable and worthy. A confident man does not wait for others to affirm his value because he has already earned his own respect through discipline, hard work, and a deep understanding of his own strengths and weaknesses. Women can sense this kind of energy immediately because confidence has a quiet power to it that arrogance can never replicate. While arrogance is often defensive and dismissive, confidence is open and secure, allowing a man to be assertive without being overbearing, decisive without being controlling, and charismatic without being manipulative. This balance is what makes confidence so attractive because it demonstrates a man's ability to lead himself before trying to lead anyone else. A confident man does not feel the need to tear others down or prove himself constantly because he operates from abundance rather than scarcity. He understands that true power is not shown through force or superiority, but through composure, respect, and groundedness. This is why women feel safe in the presence of a confident man, because his energy communicates stability and security without words. He does not chase attention or validation, because his focus is on his purpose, his growth, and his mission in life. This creates a natural magnetism because a man who is deeply invested in his vision is both inspiring and attractive. Women are instinctively drawn to men who exude quiet strength because it signals that he has mastered himself, and mastery of self is the ultimate display of masculinity. The difference between confidence and arrogance lies in intention. Arrogance is a performance, an act that stems from insecurity, whereas confidence is a state of being, a reflection of a man's internal reality. Arrogant men seek to dominate conversations, to make others feel small, and to prove their worth through external validation, but this only pushes people away. Confidence, however, draws people in because it is rooted in respect for oneself and for others. A confident man does not feel threatened by others' success or opinions because he is secure in his own identity. He understands that confidence is not about being perfect, but about being authentic, embracing both strengths and flaws without shame. Women are naturally attracted to this kind of authenticity because it communicates emotional depth and strength, traits that are rare and highly valued. Confidence without arrogance also shows in how a man carries himself in relationships. He does not become needy or clingy because he does not rely on a woman to validate his worth. He can give love without losing himself. He can pursue her without begging for her attention, and he can create attraction without manipulation. This type of confidence creates a healthy dynamic because it sets a tone of mutual respect and admiration rather than power struggles or games. A confident man knows that his presence is enough, and this is exactly why he does not feel the need to chase or overcompensate. Instead, he allows attraction to flow naturally, and this is why he stands out effortlessly in a world where so many men seek shortcuts or external approval. Authenticity is one of the most magnetic traits a man can possess because it communicates strength, security, and depth without needing to put on a performance. A man who is authentic moves through life without fear of being seen for who he truly is because he has accepted himself and no longer seeks to impress others through illusions or false identities. In today's world, where so many people wear masks to gain attention, stand out, or manipulate others into liking them, authenticity becomes rare and valuable. Women are drawn to a man who does not need to pretend because that kind of man feels safe, grounded, and trustworthy. When a man is authentic, he has no need to exaggerate his accomplishments, hide his flaws, or create a persona just to fit in. He is comfortable in his own skin, and that comfort radiates as confidence. Pretending may get short-term attention, but authenticity earns long-term respect, and it is this respect that creates genuine attraction. A man who chooses authenticity over pretending understands that attraction is not about perfection, it is about presence. Women are not looking for a flawless man. They are looking for a man who is real, someone who is not afraid to show vulnerability while remaining strong. When a man tries to put on an act to appear impressive, women sense it immediately because feminine intuition is deeply tuned to energy, not just words. Pretending creates a disconnect, while authenticity creates connection. A man who is honest about his intentions, values, and lifestyle is far more attractive than someone who constantly tries to live up to an image. This is because authenticity signals integrity, and integrity is one of the most attractive traits a man can have. A woman feels safe with a man who is authentic because she knows what she sees is what she gets. And that stability is something that cannot be faked or bought. Choosing to live authentically also reflects emotional maturity because it takes courage to stop seeking external approval and start living by your own standards. A man who is authentic knows that his worth is not dependent on how others view him, and this independence makes him stand out. He does not conform to trends or social pressures to prove his masculinity because he knows that true masculinity is not about fitting an image, but about owning his identity. Pretending is often rooted in insecurity, in the fear of rejection, and in the desire to be liked by everyone. But the truth is that trying to please everyone makes a man lose himself, and women can sense when a man is not grounded in his own truth. An authentic man, however, attracts respect from both men and women because he stands firm in his beliefs, his values, and his purpose, even if it means not being liked by everyone. An authentic man is also deeply self-aware. He knows his strengths and embraces them, but he also acknowledges his weaknesses without shame. This makes him relatable and trustworthy because a man who pretends to be perfect comes across as insincere and unapproachable. Women are naturally drawn to men who can be open about their flaws while showing they are committed to growth. Authenticity communicates that a man has nothing to hide, and that level of honesty creates a powerful bond of trust. Pretending, on the other hand, often leads to disappointment because it sets up unrealistic expectations that cannot be sustained. When a man builds attraction through authenticity, it creates a relationship dynamic based on truth, which is the only foundation strong enough to last. Living authentically also frees a man from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation. When a man constantly tries to prove himself through material possessions, social status, or false confidence, he is giving his power away to other people's opinions. But when he chooses authenticity, he reclaims that power because he no longer lives to impress. He lives to express his true self. This creates a magnetic energy because authenticity is rare in a world full of imitation. Women find it deeply attractive when a man can walk into any room and not feel the need to change who he is to fit in. His self-assurance and honesty become his greatest strengths, and this draws people to him naturally without effort or manipulation. Emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful yet underestimated qualities a man can develop because it determines how he navigates relationships, manages challenges, and carries himself in the presence of others. A man with emotional intelligence is not easily shaken by life's ups and downs because he has mastered the art of self-control and self-awareness. He does not allow emotions to dictate his actions. Instead, he responds with clarity, patience, and intentionality. Women are deeply drawn to this type of man because he exudes stability and security, two qualities that every feminine energy seeks in a masculine counterpart. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. It is about understanding emotions, both your own and those of others, and knowing how to manage them with wisdom. This creates an aura of strength that cannot be faked, because a man who is emotionally intelligent has spent time mastering himself, and that self-mastery makes him magnetic. A man with emotional intelligence has the ability to lead himself before leading anyone else. He does not react impulsively when things do not go his way, and he does not lose his composure when faced with challenges. Instead of lashing out or shutting down, he approaches situations with calmness and logic, which immediately earns him respect. Women feel safe around this type of man because he does not project chaos or instability. Instead, he provides emotional grounding. Emotional intelligence allows him to communicate with depth rather than defensiveness, to listen with intention rather than waiting for his turn to speak. This creates a sense of trust and respect that makes him stand out in a world where most people are reactive and emotionally impulsive. A man who is emotionally intelligent can connect with a woman on a deeper level because he can hold space for her emotions without being controlled or intimidated by them. And that level of maturity creates a profound sense of attraction. What makes emotional intelligence so powerful is that it blends strength with empathy, and this balance is rare. Many men are taught to suppress emotions entirely, believing that showing any sign of vulnerability makes them weak. But a truly emotionally intelligent man knows that strength is not found in denial, but in control. He does not allow emotions to overpower him, yet he does not fear expressing them either. This balance makes him approachable, trustworthy, and deeply attractive because women can sense when a man is both strong and emotionally available. He does not shy away from difficult conversations, and he does not get defensive when his ego is challenged because he is secure in himself. This creates a dynamic where a woman feels both protected and understood, which is the foundation of deep connection. Emotional intelligence also allows a man to navigate conflict with clarity and respect. Instead of resorting to anger, manipulation, or passive aggression. He knows how to communicate his thoughts without disrespecting others. This shows that he values harmony without compromising his boundaries. Women are naturally drawn to a man who can lead with both strength and understanding because it shows that he has mastered himself, and a man who has mastered himself is far more appealing than a man who relies solely on status, appearance, or wealth to attract attention. Emotional intelligence is a sign of true inner strength, and this strength is magnetic because it signals that he is dependable and capable of handling life's complexities with grace. Developing emotional intelligence requires deep self-reflection and a willingness to grow. A man must be honest about his triggers, his patterns, and his weaknesses in order to gain true control over them. He cannot simply rely on surface-level confidence or external validation to carry him through life because real confidence is born out of emotional discipline. Women can sense this emotional maturity in a man's energy long before he speaks, the way he carries himself, the way he responds rather than reacts, and the way he listens with presence all communicate his depth. A man with emotional intelligence becomes a safe space, not because he tries to be perfect, but because he has built himself from within. He knows how to regulate his emotions, he knows how to read the emotions of others, and he knows how to create a calm and stable environment, which is one of the most attractive traits a man can possess. A purpose-driven life is one of the most magnetic forces a man can embody because it reflects discipline, focus, and a sense of direction that naturally commands respect and admiration. A man who lives with purpose does not move aimlessly through life waiting for opportunities to define him. He is intentional with his time, his energy, and his decisions. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are on a mission because that mission gives him a presence that is rare and powerful. A man with purpose does not seek validation from others because his worth is rooted in what he is building, not in the opinions of those watching. He is not easily swayed by distractions or temporary pleasures because he has a bigger vision guiding him. This makes him stand out, not because he tries to impress, but because his very existence communicates strength, stability, and leadership. Living a purpose-driven life is not about being perfect or having everything figured out. It is about committing to a path of growth and refusing to live without meaning. When a man is aligned with his purpose, he becomes deeply attractive because he has direction, and direction is a trait that gives women a sense of security. A man without purpose often drifts, chasing validation or temporary highs, and this lack of focus makes him appear unstable or ungrounded. But a man with purpose is magnetic because he is fully engaged in something bigger than himself, something that fuels him every day. This is not about wealth, fame, or status. It is about living in alignment with his calling and refusing to settle for mediocrity. Women can sense when a man is building something significant because his energy is different. He moves with confidence and intentionality rather than desperation or neediness. His presence communicates that his life has meaning whether or not someone chooses to be part of it, and that independence is deeply attractive. Living a purpose-driven life also means a man does not waste his energy on meaningless pursuits or relationships that do not align with his values. He is selective about who he allows into his space because he understands that his mission requires focus and clarity. This level of discipline communicates strength because it shows he has mastered his impulses, and a man who has mastered himself is far more powerful than one who is constantly seeking external gratification. Women are drawn to men with standards because it signals leadership, and leadership is one of the most appealing traits a man can embody. A purpose-driven man is not easily distracted by fleeting attention or superficial validation because he is working towards something that gives him fulfillment at a deeper level, and this creates a natural aura of confidence that cannot be faked. A man who lives with purpose also becomes a source of inspiration, not because he tries to impress others, but because his actions speak for him. He carries himself with a quiet confidence that draws people toward him because they can see his determination and consistency. This energy is attractive because it shows that he is dependable, disciplined, and capable of building something lasting. A man with purpose does not settle for comfort. He pushes himself to grow, evolve, and pursue excellence. Women instinctively respect this because it demonstrates leadership and vision, traits that make them feel safe and inspired. His life is not built around seeking validation from women. Instead, his life becomes so valuable and fulfilling that women naturally want to be part of it. This is what makes a purpose-driven life so magnetic. It shifts the dynamic from chasing to attracting, from seeking to leading. Purpose also gives a man resilience, because when he faces setbacks, he does not crumble under pressure. He knows why he is doing what he is doing, and that sense of clarity gives him the ability to push through obstacles with patience and determination. Women find this deeply attractive because it reflects strength, not just physical or financial strength, but mental and emotional strength. A man who can stay focused on his mission regardless of external circumstances is a man who has mastered himself, and that kind of mastery is rare. Living with purpose requires sacrifice, discipline, and courage, but it also creates a magnetic energy that naturally draws high-value relationships and opportunities. A man who embodies purpose does not need to convince anyone of his worth because his actions, his vision, and his discipline speak louder than words. Respectful boundaries are one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity and self-worth, and they play a crucial role in creating genuine attraction because they communicate that you value yourself and expect the same from others. A man who has strong boundaries is not cold, controlling, or dismissive. Instead, he moves with clarity and strength, knowing what he will and will not tolerate in his life. This makes him deeply attractive because boundaries are not about pushing people away, but about protecting your peace and maintaining your standards. A man who has boundaries sends a powerful message without needing to say a word. He is not desperate. He is not seeking validation at any cost, and he is not willing to compromise his integrity for temporary attention. Women instinctively respect a man who honors himself because it shows that he is a leader, a protector, and someone who understands his value. When a man lacks boundaries, he becomes easily manipulated or taken for granted. But when he stands firm in what he believes in, he earns both respect and admiration. Boundaries are deeply tied to self-respect, and without self-respect, it is impossible to create healthy relationships. A man who respects himself will not allow disrespect, dishonesty, or disloyalty to remain in his life, no matter how much he may be attracted to someone. This level of discipline is rare because many men compromise their values out of fear of losing a woman's interest. But true masculinity is built on principles, not desperation. A woman feels safe with a man who has boundaries because she knows he will not be swayed by manipulation or emotion-driven decisions. Boundaries create structure in relationships. They set the tone for how you expect to be treated, and they also show that you are capable of walking away from what does not serve you. A man with no boundaries loses his sense of self in relationships, but a man with strong boundaries draws people closer because they recognize his strength and integrity. Respectful boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from harm, they also demonstrate your ability to respect others. A man with strong boundaries does not try to control or dominate women, nor does he tolerate being controlled or dominated. This balance creates a healthy dynamic where mutual respect thrives, and that respect is what fosters long-term attraction. Women are naturally drawn to men who know their worth because it signals emotional stability and leadership. Boundaries are attractive because they show that a man's life does not revolve around seeking approval, but rather around protecting his energy and focusing on his mission. When a man is grounded in his standards, he becomes unshakable, and this steadiness is something women instinctively crave because it communicates that he is reliable and trustworthy. Having boundaries also eliminates the need for games or manipulation because your actions speak for themselves. You do not need to over-explain yourself, beg for respect, or demand loyalty. Instead, you simply embody your standards, and others rise to meet them or remove themselves from your life. This type of silent strength is magnetic because it shows you are not operating from scarcity. You are not afraid of being alone, and you are not desperate to hold on to someone who does not value you. A man with boundaries is a man who has options because he has mastered the art of self-control, and that mastery is attractive not only to women, but also to everyone around him. People naturally gravitate toward men who project calm authority and confidence, and boundaries are what create that energy. Boundaries also reflect a man's ability to prioritize his purpose over temporary distractions. When you have a vision for your life, you protect your energy carefully, and this makes you intentional about who you allow into your circle. Women deeply respect a man who does not let emotions or attraction cloud his judgment because it shows that he is a leader who can remain steady under pressure. A man without boundaries becomes emotionally unstable, constantly seeking approval or validation. But a man with boundaries builds his life with discipline and intention. This self-control creates a magnetic aura because women are naturally drawn to men who are consistent, reliable, and deeply grounded. Boundaries create safety, and safety is one of the most powerful foundations for attraction because it makes a woman feel that she is in the presence of someone who cannot be easily swayed or broken. Masculine energy with integrity is one of the most powerful combinations a man can embody because it creates a presence that is deeply magnetic without being overbearing. Masculine energy is not about aggression, dominance, or control. It is about grounded leadership, decisiveness, and a calm sense of strength that makes others feel secure in your presence. Integrity adds depth to that energy because it ensures that your power is rooted in moral character rather than manipulation or ego. A man with masculine energy and integrity is not easily swayed by temptation or validation because his sense of self comes from his values and his principles. Women are instinctively drawn to men who project this kind of energy because it reflects both strength and safety, two traits that create lasting attraction. Masculine energy alone can capture attention, but when it is combined with integrity, it commands respect, and respect is the foundation of true connection. A man who embodies masculine energy with integrity is firm in his identity and unshakable in his beliefs. He does not change who he is to please others or seek approval because he is rooted in a sense of purpose and self-worth. This kind of man stands out in a world where many men compromise their values for temporary validation. Integrity is rare, and that rarity makes it powerful. A man who lives with integrity does not just talk about his standards, he lives by them, even when no one is watching. This creates trust because people, especially women, can sense authenticity at a deep level. Masculine energy becomes magnetic when it is paired with integrity because it shows that a man is not only strong, but also disciplined and dependable. This combination communicates that he is not ruled by his impulses, but by his vision, and that steadiness is what draws high-quality relationships into his life. Masculine energy is also about presence, the ability to remain calm and composed regardless of circumstances. A man with true masculine energy does not need to prove himself through loudness or arrogance because his presence speaks louder than words. When integrity supports that presence, it becomes even more powerful because it shows that his strength is not built on ego, but on character. Women are naturally drawn to men who make them feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally, and integrity plays a key role in creating that safety. A man with integrity does not manipulate, deceive, or use women to validate himself. Instead, he values honesty, loyalty, and consistency, which makes him deeply trustworthy. Masculine energy that is not grounded in integrity can feel intimidating or even toxic, but when it is balanced with moral strength, it creates a sense of stability that women instinctively crave. Living with masculine energy and integrity also means setting an example for others because a man's actions carry more weight than his words. A man with integrity understands that leadership is not about control, but about influence, and influence comes from being someone others can respect. He does not chase validation because he knows his worth, and he does not compromise his values for approval because he understands that true strength is in standing firm when it is difficult. Masculine energy becomes magnetic when it is rooted in discipline, responsibility, and a sense of duty, and integrity ensures that this strength is never abused. Women are drawn to men who lead with integrity because it signals that they are not only capable, but also safe to trust, which is one of the deepest forms of attraction. A man with masculine energy and integrity does not need to demand respect. He earns it through his actions. He treats others with dignity, he follows through on his word, and he lives by principles that define his character. This makes him a leader in every area of life because people feel naturally drawn to someone who radiates strength while also embodying humility and honor. Masculine energy without integrity can be dangerous because it can lead to arrogance, recklessness, and a desire to dominate rather than inspire. But when a man's energy is guided by integrity, it becomes a source of stability and inspiration, creating an environment where others feel safe, valued, and respected. Women are particularly sensitive to this balance because they are deeply attuned to a man's energy. And a man who is